Hi, today we will see performance of appraisal. It is the systematic evaluation of an individual with respect to performance on a job and individuals' potential for the development. It is the formal structure systems of measuring, evaluating the job-related behaviors and outcomes to discover the reasons of performance and how to perform the effectively in future so that the employee, the organization and society of all benefits. The performance of appraisal is to systematic evaluation of the performance of employees and understand the ability of a person for further growth and development. The performance of appraisal generally is done by the systematic ways which are as follows. The supervisors measure the P and employee and compare it with targets and plans. The supervisors analyze the factors behind which the performance of the employees. The employees are in position to guide the employees for a better performance. The performance of appraisal is a process of analyzing, obtaining the information about the employees relative the work to the company. The main purpose of an employee, the nature are to approve the performance of the employee and also the future of potential in the employee. The performance of appraisal of the tool is used to refine, celebrate and reward the performance of an employee. It is also helps the management analyze the employee's achievement and her the contributions towards the overall company goals. During the performance of appraisal, employees and the management are able to interact freely and share through the challenges and that employees may be facing at work. This is an open forum whereby the employee is given a chance to express their concerns and also suggest any improvement that will positively towards their performance. Meaning of performance appraisal. The performance appraisal is the assessment of individual performance in a systematic way. It is the development tool used for all round development of the employee and the organization. The performance is measured against the factors as a job knowledge, the quality and quantity of output, initiative, leadership abilities and supervision, dependability, cooperation, judgment and facility and health. The assessment should be confined to pass out as well as the potential performance also. The second definition is more focused on the behaviors as a part assessment because the behaviors affect the job of result. Objective of the performance appraisal. To maintain the records in order to maintain the compensation packages and strength and weakness of the employees, to place the right man and right job, to maintain the assess the potential present in a person for further growth and development, to provide the feedback to the employee regarding the performance and related status, to provide the feedback employees regarding the performance related status. It serves as a basis of the influencing the work habits of the employees, to review and retain the promotional and other training programs. The importance of performance appraisal. To analyze the review of the performance of the employees over a specified period of time to see the gap between the desired performance of the employees to help the management exercise the organizational control. It is also bridging the gap between the management and the employee. It is also help to strengthen the relationship between the superiors and the other subordinates. Communication is also improved between the management and employees and the appraisals. An appraisal also points out the strength and the weakness of each employees can help with identifying the training and needs for employees. Appraisal also helps the management with highlighting the star and the employees rewards them accordingly. Clarity, the responsibility and expectations are communicated to the employees during such sessions. This is also helps with reduction and grievances of employees. Advantages of performance appraisal, it helps to supervisors to check out the promotions programs for efficient employees. In this record, inefficient workers can be dismissed or demoted. In the case, it helps checking out the compensation packages for employees. Merit and rating is possible through the performance appraisal. The systematic procedure of performance appraisal helps the supervisors to frame training the policies and programs. It helps to analyze the strength and weakness of the employees so that the new jobs can be designed for efficient employees. It also helps the framing the future development programs. It helps the supervisors to understand validity and importance of the selection procedure. The supervisors can come to know the validity and thereby the strengths and weakness of the selection procedures. Future changes in the selections methods can be made in this record. For an organization, the effective communication between the employees and employee impartial. It serves the motivation tool through the evaluating performance of the employees. The person's efficiency can be determined and target can be achieved. This is very well motivates persons for better job and helps him to improve the performance of the future. Disadvantages of the performance appraisal. If not done right, they can create the negative experience. The performance appraisals are very time consuming and can be overwhelming of managers with many employees. They are based on the human assessment and are subject to data errors and biases. Can be waste time if not appropriately. They can very useful and environment for everyone involved. The techniques method of performance of appraisal, critical incident method, weighted checklist method, paired comparison analysis, graphic rating scale, essay evaluation method, behaviorally adhered rating scale, 360-degree appraisal, forced ranking method. Critical incident method. This format of performance appraisal is a method which is involved to identifying and describing the specific incident where the employees did something really well or that needs to improving the performance period. Advantages. Each employees will be evaluated as such. Once the performance of the appraisal will be based on the logos that are put in the evaluation form. The manager maintains the logs on the each employee's whereby periodically records the critical incidents of the worker's behavior. At the end of the rating period, these critical incidents are used to evaluation of the worker's performance. The critical incidents file the performance appraisal is the form of the documentation reflects all the data about the employee's performance, disadvantages, critical incidents techniques. Your evaluation is applied to evaluate the performance superiors rather than the peers of subordinates. Negative incidents may be noticeable than the positive incidents. It results in very close supervision, which may not be liked by employee. The recording of incidents may be chore for managers concerned, who may be too busy to forget to do it. The supervisors have a tendency to unload a series of complaints about the incidents during an manual performance review session. The weighted checklist method. In this style, the performance of the appraisal is made under the method of job evaluator based on the descriptive statements, the effective of ineffective behavior of jobs, the advantages and disadvantages weighted checklist. In this method, helps the managers evaluation of the performance of employees rather maybe distinguishing the positive and negative questions. He may assign the based on the weights to the questions. This method is also expensive and time consuming. It becomes difficult manager to assemble, analyze the weight number of the statements and employees' characteristics, contributions and behavior. Paired comparison analysis. This is the form of the appraisal, good way to make full use of the method's options. There will be the list of relevant options. Each option is in comparisons with the other list. The result will be calculated and then such option highest score will be mostly chosen. The advantages and disadvantages of the paired comparison analysis. It is useful with priorities not clear. It is particularly do not have the objectives database this is on. It helps to set the priorities where there are the conflicting demands of their resources. This makes easy and not easy to choose the most important problem to solve and select the solutions will give the great advantages. Graphic rating scales. This format is considered the oldest and most popular method of assess the employee performance. In this style of performance of appraisal, the management is just simply checks the performance of the levels of their staffs. The advantages of the graphic rating scales. The graphic rating scales less time consuming to develop. They all allow the quantitative comparisons. The disadvantages of the graphic rating scales. The different supervisions of the same graphic scales is slightly different ways. One way to get ambiguity inherent in graphic rating scales is the use of the behavior based scale in which the specific work related to the behavior are assessed. The more validity comparing the workers rating from the single supervisors than comparing the two workers who are rated to the different supervisors. Easy evaluation method. In this style, the performance of appraisal managers supervisors required to figure out the strong and weak points of the staff behavior. A SC evaluation method in non-quantitative technique. It is often mixed with the method of graphic writing skills. The advantages of EC evaluation method: the job knowledge potential of the employee understanding the company's programs, policies, objectives, etc., the employee's relations with the co-workers and superiors, the employee general planning, organizing and controlling ability, the attitude perception employee in general. The disadvantages of a essay evaluation method: the manager supervisor may write a based essay, the busy writer may write the essay hurriedly without properly accessing the actual performance of worker. Apart from the writer takes long time, this becomes uneconomical from the viewpoint of the firm because the time is rather costly. Behaviorally anchored rating scale. So, the formatted performance appraisal is based on making the rates on behavior sets and indicators to determine the effectiveness and ineffectiveness of working performance. The form is mixed by the rating scale and critical incident techniques performance of the staff. The advantages and disadvantages: behaviorally anchored rating scale. In this method, very usefully and exactly, it is very difficult to develop the method because of you need to identify good level, etc. Degree of performance appraisal. The style of 360-degree performance appraisal is a method of employee will give the confidential and assessment their colleagues. This posts also the information that can be used references for such method, the performance and 720, 540, 180. The advantages: 360-degree appraisal offer a more comprehensive view of the words, the performance of employees, improve the credibility. Performance appraisal, such colleagues' feedbacks will help the strengthen of the self-development, increase the responsibility of the employees to their customer. The mix of ideas can give more accurate assessment. Opinion gathered from the lots of staff are sure to be more perceived. Not only the manager should assessment on its staff performance, but the other colleagues should to do. The disadvantages of 360-degree appraisal: taking a lot of time, being complex in the administration, the extension, exchange and feedback can cause the troubles of attention of several staff. There is a requirement of training, important effort in order to achieve the efficient working. It will be very hard to figure out the results. The feedback can be useless and it is not carefully and smoothly dealt. The forced ranking. In this style, the performance, the employee are ranked in terms of the forced allocations. For instance, it is habitual that the proportions be shared the way of 10 to 20% will be highest level of performance, while 70 to 80% will be the middle level of rest will be the lowest one. The advantages: they force the redundant managers to make the difficult decisions and to identify the most least talented members of work group. They create the sustain the high performance culture in which the workforce continuously. The disadvantages: they increase unhealthy cutthroat competitiveness, the discourage collaboration of the teamwork, the harm morale They are legally suspected to age discrimination cases. The career planning and the management. The career has been defined as the sequence of the persons on the different job period. It viewed fundamentally relationship between one or the more organization and the individual. To some of the career or carefully worked out the plan for the self advancement. To others it is calling life rule. To others it is the voyage to self discovery. To still it is a life itself. According to the Edwin Fippo, the career is the sequence to separate related work activities that provide the continuity, order, and meaning to a person's life. According to the occupational position of the persons has had many years. Career planning. Career planning is a relatively new personal function. Established programs on a career planning are still rare except larger or more progressive organization. Career planning aims to identify the personal skills, interest, and knowledge the features, establishes the specific plans, and attain the specific goals. The career planning is making the some sure that the organization has to right people, right skills at the right time. In the particular indicates what training development is necessary, the advancing the in the career, altering the career path, or staying in the current positions. It focuses the future needs, opportunities, removal of stagnation, obsolescence, dissatisfaction of the employees. Objectives of career planning: the map out the career employees suitable for their ability, their willingness, trained and developed for higher position, give the workforce, reducing the labor turnover, absenteeism, and contribute to manpower planning as well as the organizational development, achievement, and corporate goals. To increasingly utilize the managerial talent available at all levels within the organization. To improve the employee morale and motivation by the matching skills to job requirement, and by providing the opportunity for promotions. It helps the employee in thinking of a long-term involvement with organization to achieve the higher productivity and organizational development. To ensure the better use of the human resource through the more satisfied and productive employees, to meet the immediate and future human resource needs of the organization on timely basis. Need for the career planning and management: to desire to grow, scale new heights, and realize and achieve the goals. The performance measure high employee turnover, to educate the employees, to motivate the employees to grow, to motivate the employees to avoid training and development, to increases the employee loyalty. They feel organization cares about them. The important technology used in career planning: career path, career success, career counseling, career anchoring, career cluster, and career success. Career path. The career path refers the systematic deliberate the advancement made by an individual in his career in the entire work life. It indicates the way of one the career had been progressed. It can be classified as general career path. In this path, the organization proposes the different career path for each job in the organization structure. This is done by analyzing the position of the job of the organizational structure, the individual career path. In this path, the organization carries out the employees analyze to determine it propose the individual career path for each employee. The career system. The term of the systems normally means set the interdependent parts of with require the interaction forming a whole. The career system refers to the creation of an integrated employee for the development system for supporting the career aspiration of the employees, the career information and assessment, career counseling, monitoring and career guidance are the essential components of the career systems. The technology is used to extensively career systems for gathering the processing, storing, utilizing and disseminating and information relating to career planning management. It is called the career information system. Career counseling. Career counseling guidance given by the experts to the individuals about the path to adopted by them in accomplishing the career goals. The career counselor assists the employees in discovering their potential and weakness. He is also answers the queries about the career prospectus and plans. Career anchoring. The career refers the facts that the influences the selections of the individual career choices. It is normally based on the individual own perceptions of his competencies and abilities called the drives. For instance, the drives influence an individuals to take the specify the career, technical and managerial competences, security, stability and creativeness, autonomy and independence. The career cluster. The career cluster refers the categorizations of the different occupations of the job similar to the nature or usually brought together. The career cluster. Career success. The career success differs from the meaning from one individual to the another depending upon the perception of the success. However, the career is broadly into categories: the ability to give the outside work after a fine performance of the job, growing continually, provision also performing and demanding the work, career planning and management process, identifying the individual needs and aspiration. It is necessary to identify and communicate the career goals, aspiration and career anchors of every employee because the most of the individual may not have the clear idea about this. For this purpose, the human resource inventory of management organization and the employee potential areas also concerned. The analyzing the career opportunity, the organizational setup, future plans of the career, and employees are analyzed to identify the career opportunities available within it. The career paths can be determined for the each position. It can also necessary to analyze the career demands in terms of knowledge, skill, experience, and aptitude, etc. Identifying the match and mismatch mechanisms to identify the concurrence between the individual current aspiration and organizational career systems is to develop the identify the compare the specific areas of match and mismatch the different categories of employees, formulating and implementing the strategies, alternative actions formulated and intimated, reviewing the carrying plans. The period of reviewer of the career plan is necessary to know whether the plan is contributing the effective utilization of the human resources by matching the employees objectives of the job needs review will also indicate the employees which direction of the organization is moving, with what changes are likely to be take place and what skills are needed to adapt to changing the needs of the organization. Career planning and management stages: the development stage, exploration stage, and establishment stage, agreeing stage, declination stage, development stage. This stages begins from the birth and normally lasts until the 14 years old. This is the period in which the children want to affirm themselves and have been affected very much by the relationship with family, school, and society. In beginning of this stage, the becomes play as an important role in children recognition. In the end of this stage, the children have developed the ideas about their own hobbies and abilities, may be with some practical ideas of the future carries. Exploration stage, the stage of 15 years and 24 years old. In this period, the people have many different careers choices of often tend to choose a job career. They have been counseled, tutored the job think will be fit the abilities and wishes. The most important stage of the people need the broad knowledge and variety of job skills. Establishment stage, the stage is from age 25 to 44. This is the main stage of the career of the person. Is the beginning of stage. Some people have to find their suitable jobs. These help them have a long and settled standing in their career lines. As usual, the people pursue the original career choices, but there are still many people considering that this stage is only trial period, continually test their skill incentives for advancement career. The establishment stage is in three period: trial period from the age of 25 and 30. In this period, people work primarily to find out whether the career choice they made suitable or not. Stable period, normally from the age 30 to 40. In this period, people often identify their own career goals and have specific plans to decide what should be continually be done on to reach these goals. These are the there are the two tendency: continuing the path chosen on or turning the another job to the career. Mid career period, in this period is mid 30s and mid 40s. During this period, people often compared what they are trying to pursue, the difficulties in the career they have, what they have sacrificed, loss they have endured. They follow their career path as well as their career ambitions with the achievement, and they got in the career such position of salary and so on. The aging stage, this period continues from the age 45 to 60. There are the many people jump directly from the stable period to this stage without having the experience all the difficulties and failures made the careers of the crisis period. The declination stage. The declination stage is the final stage which when the people are old, less healthy and clairvoyant. In this period, sense of the responsibility toward the job decreased. They must be accept the new role of the young generation. The advantages of the career planning and management for individuals. The purpose of career planning is to begins the individual to have the knowledge of various career opportunity and his priorities, etc. This knowledge helps him to select the career is suitable for to his lifestyles, preference, family, environment, scope of the self development, etc. It helps the organization to identify the internal employees who can promote it. Internal promotion, upgradations, and transfer the motivate the employees, boost up the morale, and also result increase the job satisfaction. Increase the job satisfaction enhances the employee commitment and create sense of the belongingness and loyalty of the organization. Employee will avoid a stern promotion rather than the changing of another organization. This will lower employee turnover. It improves the employee performance on the job by tapping their potential abilities and further employees turnover. It satisfies the employee esteem needs for organization. Long-term focus of the career planning and development will be increase the effectiveness of human resource management. More specifically, the advantages of career planning and development for an organization include the efficient career planning and development ensures the availability of the human resource with the required skill, knowledge, and talent. The efficient policies and practices improve the organizations and talent employees. The proper career planning ensures that the women and the people being backward communities and opportunities, the growth and development. The career planning is continuously tries to satisfy the employee expectations and such minimize the employee frustrations. But attracting the people from the different cultures and enhances and cultural diversity. The directing the foundation of individual group and behavior. The human behavior common complex the phenomenon as it is the most difficult to define the absolute terms. It is primarily the combination of the responses to external and internal stimuli. These responses would reflect the psychological structures of the persons and may results of the combination of biological and psychological process. It is the systems which the human being since the external events and influences the interrupts them. The response to them is in an appropriate manner and learns from the result of the responses. It has been established the certain characteristics, behavior, genetic nature, and human being inherits a certain degree of similarity to the other individuals as well as the influences in the form of the genes and chromosomes. Some of the characteristics such as physical and um, dexterity, intellectual capacity, ability to learn, the logicalize are all inherited and have the wide impact of the behavioral patterns. Then, once the biggest challenges understanding the human behavior, address the issue of that weren't obvious like iceberg behavior as a small visible dimensions and much large hidden portions. What we see what we look and at the people is their visible actions, attitude, speech, acts, dress, languages, used gauge, but under the surface are other elements that we need understood, elements that influences how the people behave, the way the day they do, how to work, as we shall the behavior provides us the considerable insights into the important but hidden access human beings. The managers need how to individual behavior, actions, context of the organization for our at most important elements of individual behavior or the biographical characteristics, ability, personality, learning, biographical characteristics, age, since the age is determined by the date or the date of birth. It is the kind of the inherited characteristics. Age may affect the behavior, psychological as well as psychological ways. Psychologically, the young people are expected to be more energetic, innovative, risk taking, adventurous, and while old people are supposedly conservative and set in their ways of the psychologically. With age, older people experience warning of some other faculties and such memory, stamina, coordination, etc. is related to the behavior change as well as according to the Lechman peak creative among the people between the 30 and 40, sex and gender. Do male perform the better than the females? Research reveals the females do not perform less than the males if they are equally trained or having the similar capabilities, martial status. The scientific studies under the cover that the married people are more responsible and persistence in nature, undergo the less absence of the jobs because the marriage caused them to accept new responsibility. Number of dependents, the creator of children or the other dependents of the persons has the lesser concentration on work. It has been observed the most of the cases in many time the employees are especially the female huge children or the other person such relatively dependents to make the leaves, take care of schooling, hospitalizations of their dependents, tenor. The switching the jobs is a bigger deal of the problems rather than it may be results of serious need to leave the problematic company or avoid the better opportunity, but the person show the greater on a job, show the present on the indication of their satisfactory of the performance ability. The it is the ability is the capacity to perform the work action. A lawyer has the ability to define the legal suits in the court. The swimmer and two types of ability to include the physical. It is the ability to perform the various physical works. For instance, the bodybuilder is the common have the vigor, power, stamina, intellectually, it is the ability to perform the various mental tasks and accurately solve the test of the evaluate intellectual ability of under the graduate students similar test and ACT, ICMT, LSAT of the lawyers, MCAT for the medicines, etc. The number of the aptitude that ability to speedy the accurate arithmetic, verbal comprehension, ability to understand what is read or heard, the perceptual speed, ability to identify the similarity and difference between the things, inductive reasoning, ability to identify the logical sequence in the problems in order to above solve it, the deductive reasoning, ability to use the logic and assess the implications or connections of an argument, spatial visualization, ability to imagine, visualize how an object would make the position and place were changed. The examples of an interior designer plans and redirect offer personality. Some people quiet and positive, others found aggressive. When we describe the people using the terms such as quiet, positive, loud, aggressive, ambitious, and extroverted, loyal, tense, sociable, where the categorizing them in terms of the personality traits. The personality unique combination we use to describe the person. The personality is the set of distinct characteristics of the individuals, and some people's tend emotional, others intellectual, bold and timid, resistance and conflict reserved by the social, etc. Personality shaped the heredity and culture, environment and personality traits. The heredity is the factors determine the conceptions. For instance, physical and structure. Structure is the facial attractiveness, skin color, hair color, and muscles composition, energy level, and height, build, sex, and gender, temperament, and so on. Heredity is transformed from the molecular structures of gene located by the chromosomes. Moreover, our parents, forefathers, whose determined our biological and physiological, psychological makes up culture and environment. Culture and environment is a set of the values, norms, customs, traditions, and rituals and attitudes passed from the one generation to the other. The norms of our family, friend circle, and the social groups influence our behavior, and the environment also impacts our personality. The person groomed, highly educated society tends to well educated and well mannered and gentle. The patterns are industrious, competitiveness, and result oriented but aggressive in nature. Personality traits. There are the dozens of personality traits you could choose. For the instance, aggressive, shy, ambitiousness, and loyal and lazy. Over the years of the researchers have attempted focus specifically on which traits to identifying the ones the personality member brings up. The indicator, the personality assessment test are commonly used for the reveal the individual's personality traits. One of the most popular personality tests is the Myers-Briggs indicator. It consists of more than 100 questions that ask the peoples how they usually feel the different situations. The Big Five model, the extroversion. These peoples are extroverts, the sociable and talkative, and aggressive agreeableness. These peoples are cooperative and trustiveness, and emotional stability. These peoples are confidently and undepressed and not nervous. Openness experience. These peoples are bold and practical. Passion, locus of control. That some people believe they are matters of their own fate and destiny. and their beliefs in the luck of the chance. The individual who believe that they control what happens to them called the internals, and the individuals who believe that what happens to them is controlled by the outside forces, such that the luck of the chance and the externals. Self-esteem, this it is the individual degree of liking or disliking ourselves. Generalized that the people with height of the extremes, the selection of jobs serve to result oriented. On the contrary, people with low esteem or dependent on the others for guidance and control of get the job done. Self-monitoring, this ability to ensure that one's own performance against some performance standards benchmarks, such that the people offer better results. Risk taking, it is the willingness to take the risk of the or the chances, the risk degree of failure, uncertainty, risk of taking the managers or challenge acceptors, and fast decision makers. Researchers proves risk ranking managers make the rapid decisions information, but surprisingly with greater accuracy of decision. Personality and national culture in global cooperation requires the evaluate the personalities of the international managers, and diversified the workforce in the terms of their suitability in national culture, and the matching personalities and jobs. The records try to fit the personalities employees with their jobs. Instance, public relations offers marketing personal master, pleasant behavior and learning. It is the defined many permanent changes in behavior as a result of observation and experience. The students who learn their courses and soon after exams forget the courses is not learning. The learning is a permanent and it changes the behavior. For example, the typist can be type the 50 words per minute. After training, he can type 85 words per minute. In learning, some theories of learning is classical conditioning. The classical conditioning is in which is a learning process which may intimate the response of the potent stimulus becomes to be elected in response of a previously neutral stimulus. This is achieved repeated pairings of neutral stimulus with potent stimulus. This learning by the association, Russian psychologist called Ivan Pavlov, is studied the salvation in dogs as part of research programs. Normally, dogs will salivate with the food presented, but Pavlov was interested why the dogs had started and salivate when the saw the people usually feed them. Then Pavlov set up the experiment to find out that dogs could be trained the salivate and stimuli such as the sound or the belly of light. At feeding times, Pavlov would ring the bell and amount of salivilla produced by the dog was measured. After the several trials, Pavlov rang the bell without presenting the food, and the food that the dogs salivated in the same way as if the food was being presented. The scientific terms of procedure followed. Food is unconditioned stimulus. By this, Pavlov meant the stimulus elicited, the response occurred naturally. The salvation of the food is unconditioned response, that the response occurred naturally. The bell conditions the stimulus because it will only produce the salvation that is presented with the food. The salvation condition of the bell alone conditioned response, so that the conditions is stimulus. Operant conditions. The operant conditions, this is the method of learning that occurs through the rewards, punishment for behavior. Through the operant conditioning, an association is made between the behavior of consequent for that behavior. The term of the operant conditioning originated by the Schimmer, who believed that one should focus for the external observable causes because behavior, and Schimmer studied the operant conditioning by conducting the experiment using the animal which is placed at the Schimmer box. The reinforcement theory. The reinforcement is B.F. Schimmer associate state that individual behavior as the function of consequences. It is based on the law of effect. The individual behavior is the positive consequences tends to repeated. The individual behavior with negative consequences tends not repeated. The theory of focus is totally and what happens to the individual of the some actions. These, according to the Schimmer, external environment, organization, and positively so as to motivate the employee. The theory of the strong tool and analyze the controlling mechanisms and individual behavior that does not focus of the causes of the individual behavior. Reinforcement theory explains the details how an individual learns the behavior. The managers who are making the attempt motivate the employees. They do not reward all the employees simultaneously. The positive reinforcement. The managers reward the desired behavior of performance. Negative reinforcement. Managers show the resentment, anger, undesired behavior of performance. For instance, employee wish to avoid the behavior. Managers dislike coming the lead, being regularly absent, not wearing the uniforms of the works. The few example. Punishment for undesired behavior can result verbal in the return the repairments and pay cuts, loss of the privileges, layoff and terminations. Extinction is the withdrawal of the reinforcement or the behavior that was rewarded earlier or reinforced in any way of becomes extinguished. A true example that can be about those management altogether discounts, ignore the suggestions and recommendations passed by the low rank staff on various problems, which eventually lead the extensions dying out such practice in the schedule of reinforcement. Continuous reinforcement rewarding the behavior performance of every time it occurs the fixed interval is rewarding the behavior of fixed intervals like quarterly and biannually and annually. The variable interval reinforcement is rewarding the behavior performance sometimes but neither continually nor at a fixed schedule. The fixed ratio reinforcement, the performance of on fulfilling the fixed target like producing 100 units and chocolates a day. Variable ratio of reinforcement is rewarding the fulfilling varying the performance targets per period. Social learning, what we learn from our friends and family are the results of observation experiments called the social learning theory. The foundation of group behavior. The group is defined two or the more individuals interacting and independent who have come together to achieve the particular objectives. Groups differs the aggregates the individuals because the latter have no interdependence and interaction common goal. The group offer the organization because the latter systematic efforts engage the productions and of the goods and services. The classification of group. Formal groups to identify the organization structures with designated the work assignments and establishing the task. The behavior that one should engage the stipulated and directed towards the organizational goals. The uh, formal groups, the alliances that are rather formally and structured and the uh, organizably determined the natural formation of the work environment and responses to need from the different dependents who regularly rather than a formal group. The common group indicated the formal organization. The organization chart determines the command group composed the direct supports of the given manager. The task of the organization determined. The task groups boundaries are not limited to its intermediate superior. It can be cross the command relationship. Thank you.